Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? Cheers to you. Tuesday, June 24th, 8:01. 8:01. Look at me. Look at me. Not on top of my game this morning. Not on top of my game. I thought I had time. I thought I was good. Next thing I know, I'm looking at the clock. It's already 8. Updating my thumbnail. My apologies there. My apologies there. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a nice morning. Thank you very much for being here. Always a pleasure cracking a mic on this channel and talking NBA basketball with you. So thank you very much for taking some time and joining the show. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. I got a quick quote I'm going to give to everybody, and then I just got a ton of NBA stuff. I got to be honest, this is one of my favorite times of the year. These next couple of weeks are going to be really, really fun as far as trades go, rumors go. The draft is coming up tomorrow. There's just a lot of good stuff coming up. And if you're a basketball fan or an NBA fan, stay right here, tune in, hang out, and we'll definitely hit on a lot of different stuff. All right, here's my quote of the day. An eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind. Damn. An eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind. When I saw that one, I was like, yeah, we got one. We got a good one. We got a good one here. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown of what we got for the show. I'll take a look. I'll take a couple of minutes and read some of the comments as well before we get started on the show. Shout out to our partners as well. Of course, the Wallace firm, Lexus Santa Monica, BetterHelp. So thank you to all our partners that have been a part of the show, helping grow this channel. And of course, thank you to everybody here that's subscribed. If you're not subscribed, then you know what? Don't even look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't say anything to me if you're not even subscribed. Okay? How the hell are you not subscribed? It takes 1.4 seconds to subscribe. All right, closing in on 32,000 subscribers. Trades going down in the NBA. I can now think of 3 trades that have gone down that have some significance. Desmond Bane was traded. We know that when he went to Orlando. Houston got Kevin freaking Durant. And then last night, while I'm sitting there watching a little bit of TV, first off, it's kind of actually funny. I got the Gafford extension that went down. And I have Brad Wallace from the Wallace from texting me. Basically, it was a novel, and he's telling me how Gafford's going to get traded, and he's part of Clutch. And I think he read every conspiracy theory out there, and he's like, he's coming to the Lakers. While that's all going down, Celtics make a trade with the Blazers. Drew Holiday goes to the Portland Trail Blazers. I want to spend a little bit of time, not necessarily on the exact trade that went down, but on the fact that things are active here. And, you know, if you're a Laker fan, which most of you guys are here, or whatever it is, maybe there's some other fan bases that tune in as well. Every once in a while, I'll have somebody say, hey, I'm a Clippers fan, I'm a Nuggets fan, whatever it is. Everyone's welcome. I love talking NBA anyways. But the point that I'm trying to make here is anything can happen at any time. You know, we're past the point of well, you know, it's too early or anything like that. No, trades are going down that are having impact in the NBA, and we'll spend a little bit of time on that. And then I will get a little bit into that trade. Daniel Gafford does sign an extension with the Dallas Mavericks. What does that mean? Does it mean the Lakers have absolutely no shot at Daniel Gafford? No, he's actually still trade eligible this season. So we'll see what exactly that means as well. Lakers versus the Thunder. Now, I know you're saying, Al, what the hell are you talking about, Lakers versus the Thunder? The season's over. How far are the Lakers from the Oklahoma City Thunder? I mean, are they light years away? Or, hey, if a couple of things go right and you get a couple of pieces that make sense, do you think the Lakers are within the ballpark of the Oklahoma City Thunder? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. I don't think Bam Adebayo is going to become a Los Angeles Laker. However, the betting favorites, the odds, if he gets traded, they put him on the Lakers. Bovado did. So we'll spend a quick second on that. I do want to go back yesterday. You know, I had a really good conversation with Eric Pincus yesterday about Austin Reaves. And, you know, we were talking about what exactly to do with Austin Reaves, the dilemma that the Lakers have. We'll spend a quick second on that because I didn't really get a chance to expand on it. And then there were some comments. I took that clip and I put it up yesterday. And like most of my Austin Reaves videos, there's a lot of people that have interest in talking Austin Reaves. We'll spend a little bit of time reading some of those comments. Tyrese Haliburton yesterday was official. He tore his Achilles. He put out a couple things on social media yesterday as well. I don't want to just turn the page so quickly on Tyrese Haliburton. I thought he had one of the coolest playoff runs that I've watched in a long time. I thought he was an absolute baller for wanting to go out in games 6 and 7 and risk next season and tearing an Achilles for a shot at winning an NBA championship. I want to spend a quick second on that. Alex Caruso talked a little bit about the 2020 championship. Actually, all he did was take a shot at the 2020 championship, which is kind of funny. And then there's a lot of reports out there about Luka getting into shape and ready, and his offseason regimen's completely changed. I don't want to give the man too much credit for being in shape because that's part of his job. Maybe someone like me, we'd make a big deal if I was in shape, but Luka, who's a multi-millionaire and is asked to be in shape, that's part of his damn job. I don't want to give him too much credit, but there are a couple articles about that as well. So that's the rundown of what we got going on for today. I encourage you guys, if you're here and you're hanging out, if there's ever something that, a topic or a question that you think will add to the show, add to the channel, feel free to throw it in the comments and I'll do my best to try to get to it. One of the things somebody pointed out yesterday, they said that sometimes, the comments, they're all over the place. If you guys got something to add to the channel, I highly, highly encourage you to put it in the comments. If you're putting stuff in the comments that just aren't helping or, I don't know, they're wildly disrespectful or something like that, just to give you guys a heads up, I'm just going to either put you on timeout or I'm going to ban you. By the way, I sound like such a parent saying I'm going to put you in timeout. Why do they have to why do they have to call it timeout? What are we 9 years old, 6 years old? I don't even know the age for any of that stuff. But anyways, just be mindful of that. I really, it's important for me to create the right environment, whether that's what I'm talking about, whether that's the guest or whether that's the chat. So please keep that in mind. All right, let's get the show started. Slee, 90-minute show. Well, we'll go. I like promising an hour. And then we'll see what happens from there, right? However long it goes. I think yesterday I was closer to, let me see what I was going to say. Yesterday I was probably close to a $1.20, something like that. But I'd rather under promise and over deliver. I think that's the best way to put it. Let the Lakers ship LeBron like the Celtics did. Drew, the internet would have blown up. He ain't going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. By the way, he's going to have final say on that anyways. Perfect trade is Reaves, Dalton, Rui for Kessler, Sexton, and Collins. I will say this. I am more and more open to an idea of moving Austin Reaves, but I'm going to wait on that topic because I think the Bam Adebayo thing will lead me into that. But I'm not giving Austin Reaves away for nothing, and we'll do the Reaves thing in a little bit because I think Pinka said some really interesting things yesterday that will kind of continue that conversation. Okay, let me get one or two more in here. Nothing like a coffee and Slee in the morning. Good morning, Slee. Good morning, brother. Good morning to you as well. Some good coffee right there. Some good coffee. I like making coffee in the morning too now. Before I would just rush in and grab a coffee at Starbucks or something. Now let's make our coffee. Let's take our time. We don't have to go drive into to LA Live or anything like that. We got a little bit more time on our hands. All right, let's get the show started from here. Let me just get one in here real quick. One quick super. Brandon, first off, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you doing that. By the way, if anybody throws a super, obviously I'm going to read it. Lakers get Smith, Ball, Kessler. Bulls get Reaves, Kleba, Vincent. Jazz get DK 31st. So I get Ayo, Smith, Ball, Kessler. All right, a lot of moving pieces there. There's a lot of moving pieces. I don't think my brain can keep up with how many different trades are in that one right there. Brandon, I appreciate you throwing in the super. We'll throw out trade scenarios. We could do that, especially over these next couple of weeks, because you guys know a lot's going to be going down. Okay, speaking of trades, let's do this. Brandon, I'll keep yours up here for a quick second just because you threw that super, so shout out to you. Okay, real quick. Last night, Celtics made a trade. Let me first talk about a little bit about the trade, but more importantly, the concept of doing trades right now. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I always, there's certain things that always kind of stick in my mind. when it comes to things that maybe Shams Charania of ESPN. It's weird. I almost said The Athletic there. Brian Windhorst, when he says something. There's some of these guys, when they say something, it sticks through my head. So a couple things they said early on. This is a month and a half ago, maybe even 2 months ago, whatever the case is. What did they say? What was the theme that they had in mind? They're like, look, things are going to be active. The NBA this year, the only way to make moves and improve your roster or to make changes, significant changes, it's going to have to be on the trade market. I remember when all that went down. So it's like, okay, well, shit's about to go down in the NBA. This was a couple months ago. And then I remember them saying, expect a lot of moves right around the draft. Draft is coming up tomorrow. We've already had 3 trades go down. And I would say these are, okay, maybe they're not blockbusters, but these are kind of sizable moves here. Desmond Bane leaving the Western Conference, I think it's an interesting move. Again, it's not, they didn't trade John Morant. They didn't trade Jaren Jackson, but I think Desmond Bane's a nice player. Okay, let's just kind of keep going on this. The Kevin Durant trade from one West team to another West team, that's a seismic move that I think is I think it's going to make Houston really, really good. I was listening to First Things First yesterday, one of my favorite shows to listen to, by the way. I don't know if you guys, how big of fans you guys are, but Broussard, Nick Wright, I'm a fan of that show. Nick Wright said that's his favorite now to come out of the Western Conference next year. It's still too early, but you could tell how big of a trade that is to him. I think that's a huge move. When I put out a video on Sunday, one of the things I pointed out was it's the worst case scenario for a team like the Lakers or the Western Conference because he didn't go to the East. You know, if he had just was shipped to Miami, it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about that. That's kind of one less team to worry about in the Western Conference. That's not the case. He's going to be with Houston. Houston's going to be a problem. And last night, yeah, the Drew Holiday trade go down. I really, really, really expect things to be happening here over the next few days. So as we sit here today, I mean, hell, for all I know, we're going to be sitting here right now. There could be a trade that happens during my show. And more importantly, and I think the most important thing of anything here is what does this activity means for the Lakers? From my perspective, it means anything could go down at any time. And for a team like the Lakers, who I think everybody is just waiting, it's not, are the Lakers going to make a move? It's when are the Lakers going to make a move? There's no question that the Lakers are going to make a move. The question is, how big is it going to be? How many players is it going to involve? Would Austin Reaves actually get traded in the offseason? Would it include Rui? Is Dalton Connect in that first rounder gone? How many expiring here's what we don't hear from anybody, and there's no reason to hear this because we know it would be it just would make no sense at all. Here's what we're not hearing from anybody. Lakers are standing pat. They did that last summer, right? You guys remember they held on to D'Lo and Vando and all these other guys. They just were like, all right, we want to go into an offseason and actually hold on to our guys and see what it looks like. I think it was Jovan was on the show about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And he was talking about how go look at the moves that the Lakers have made. They never come. Typically, they haven't come in the summer. Most of their moves over the last couple of years have all come at the NBA trade deadline. And it really hasn't given the Lakers much of a chance to kind of build some continuity, get a training camp together and everything else. So the question is not, are the Lakers going to make a move? The question is, which move are they going to make? What players are they going to involve? What players come back? What players go out? And it could happen at any time. And that's probably part of the reason why this time of the year is so exciting, is because of all those reasons. Let me just set this up here real quick. I'm just very briefly, let me just get into the trade that went down last night. But big picture that I think I really want to refer to is anything can happen at any moment. And last night was a good example of it. So Drew Holiday goes to the Portland Trail Blazers. Anthony Simons ends up going to the Boston Celtics. You know, a little bit of a head scratcher. I mean, I guess you're trading a 35-year-old for a 26-year-old. I like it. I like it for Boston. I'll tell you what I like from both sides, because I think I can make a little bit of an argument for both sides. I like it for Boston because they just lost Jason Tatum. They're not going to be competing for an NBA championship next year. Anthony Simons he's got a lot of talent. Now, all of a sudden, if you put him on a good team and kind of hold him accountable. Certainly the Boston Celtics, whether you want to hear this or not, it's a good franchise. I don't know how much W's is going to be in the Boston Celtics' mind for this upcoming season, but Anthony Simon is going to be on an expiring contract, and maybe the question for them is this a guy that can be a part of our future for, obviously for years to come? Or they just get Simons. They get rid of the Drew Holiday contract, a 35-year-old who is aging. You're all of a sudden not going to win in it. You're not competing for an NBA championship next season. And you're also asking yourself in the Drew Holiday, in that whole world, it's like, well, we got what we needed from him. They won an NBA championship with him there. Simons comes in, and it's kind of a unique opportunity for him to go get buckets like he does. He's going to have a really good team around him in the sense of a team that understands what they're doing. Everybody plays their own roles. They got a phenomenal head coach over there. I don't mind it for the Boston Celtics for those reasons, and then they could decide what they want to do with Anthony Simons. I know the big reason why the Boston Celtics are doing this as well. They're trying to get under I think they're in the second apron. New ownership is there, so they're trying to clear some dollars. And once Tatum went down with an injury, it kind of was an open field for the entire organization to say, let's go save some money. On the other side of it, with the Portland Trailblazers, I know it's going to sound kind of weird. I think the Portland Trailblazers, in a weird way, I actually think they're trying to compete this upcoming year. If you go look at how they did in the second half of the season, they're about a 500 team. I want to say top 5, top 7 team defensively in the NBA second half of the season. And I think part of the reason why they bring Drew Holiday there is they just want a vet that will teach some of the young guys, somebody that is willing to play defense. And is he old? Yes. I think he also becomes a piece that the Portland Trailblazers say, all right, by the trade deadline, where are the Portland Trailblazers, and are there other teams out there that want a Drew Holiday that's a contender, and they think we're a Drew Holiday away from really competing for an NBA championship? I don't think it's terrible for both teams. I mean, I do think the talent of Anthony Simons that they gave up, but the question is going to be, were they going to re-sign him to a long-term contract? And if they weren't, then maybe they're not giving up all that much. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick in regards to the trade. But I think the bigger picture, kind of that 30,000-foot view, is it has begun. And it's been going on now for about a week and a half. Desmond Bane, Kevin Durant, now Drew Holiday, and we're not even at the draft. The draft starts tomorrow. So something to keep in mind in regards to all of that. Okay, let me take a look at some of the comments here, and you guys can feel free to chime in on everything else that's going on. Let's see what we got here. Drew's got some money. He's got some money owed. I mean, like a good sizable couple good years left for Drew Holiday as far as dollars go. All right, let's see what else we got here. KD was a shoe size away from a Nets championship in 2021. I don't know, brother. I have not had any faith in Kevin Durant since he left the Golden State Warriors. Now, him with the Houston Rockets, I think that's going to be a problem. You don't get rid of Simons and waive Holiday. I don't see that. They're not waiving Holiday. He ain't going anywhere. By the way, Chauncey Billups is a coach that they have interest in winning. I don't know. It's tough to remember this because it's the Portland Trailblazers. They were not an awful team in the second half of the season. Portland is a team that probably thinks, can we compete for a playing spot? And frankly, they might be able to compete for a playing spot. And sometimes by getting rid of some talent, Anthony Simons, and you go get a veteran, maybe that gets you a little bit closer. So I'm not sure that they are. I don't think they're completely out of the mix here, and I think there is a chance that they're going to be trying to go grab one of those playoff spots. Suns won the trade. I don't think the Suns did terrible. I don't. I think the question is going to be, what do they do with Jalen Green? Do they want to keep him or not? I mean, do you really want another guard? Do you want Jalen Green, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal? I think they probably potentially make another trade. I like the Dylan Brooks piece. I don't really know what to tell you about all the second rounders. I know they got a number 10 pick as well. But for Houston, you're trying to win now. You got a 2-year window right now to go try to get yourself a championship or get to the NBA Finals. I think it's the right move for them. Okay, let me read a couple more of these, and then we could talk about the Lakers and how far exactly they are away from the Thunder. Let's see what else we have here. KD is cursed. Rockets are losing 50 games next year. I think we found a Rockets KD hater. I'll believe in the Rockets when I see it. The Nets and Suns thought KD was going to make them. Here's the only difference I'll say to that, and you're not wrong on that. I think KD was kind of picking and choosing his players, picking where to go. I think there was a lot that went into that. I think these are two organizations that are run wildly different, or I think this organization under this current ownership, the Rockets, with one of the best coaches in the league in Ime Udoka, I think this squad and this organization is run wildly different than the Nets and the Suns. I was reading something this morning that KD is going to go back to playing his natural 3 spot. That's where they're going to put him, in the small forward spot. All KD is going to have to do in Houston is be Kevin Durant. And when KD was in Golden State, not making comparisons, I know that Warriors team was absurd. He just got to be Kevin Durant. And I think this is the closest version to him just being able to be himself that he hasn't had in a long time. Blazers are so dumb giving up a young prospect. Nelson, I don't really disagree with you. I think Simon's a nice part. The question is, were they going to keep him or no? And if they weren't going to keep him long-term, then this is the final year of his contract. He's going to go get paid somewhere. And maybe they just decide they got a couple. Sharp is there. Scoot Henderson is there. I wonder if they're going to be giving a lot of these other young players more opportunities to get the ball and kind of see what they got from these guys. All right, let's see if I can get one more comment in here, and then we'll keep it moving to the next topic. At this point, KD is a little too old and often injured. He played a full season with Seattle Supersonics, ancient by today's standards. Damn, that's crazy. That's right. He did play a full season there with the Seattle Supersonics. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. I think we hit enough there. We hit enough there in some of those initial topics. Lakers and the Thunder. Let me throw this out to everybody here real quick. Let me play a hypothetical for everybody, and then we'll take a look at some of your comments. But let me just kind of play this hypothetical for everybody real quick. Hypothetically, let's say the Lakers had a nice offseason. And let me tell you what I mean by offseason, nice offseason. I'm not telling you they went out and made a blockbuster move, because I don't think a blockbuster move is probably in the cards. But let's say they went out there and they traded some expiring contracts. They traded Dalton Connect. They traded their first rounder. And let's say they got a reasonable center that can hold it down for the Lakers and can give you 25 to 30 minutes a game. They got some size. And then they also use their 5.7 to get, I'm going to just throw it in, and they got Clint Capella. So now it's like, okay, hey, they're good on a big situation. I'm not telling you it's perfect, but nobody's going to walk into games anymore and say Lakers are going to get dominated on the glass. They have absolutely no interior defense. And, teams are just going to absolutely own them. Who was it that said on Minnesota? I'm blanking on the name here real quick. Who was it that said? Basically, it was like, hey, I'm the biggest guy on the floor. I'm just getting to the basket. And he's like, that's never happened in my career before. I forget who it was. I don't think it was Anthony Edwards. Anyways, long story short, let's say the Lakers were able to kind of handle their needs from a big perspective. Austin Reaves is still on the team. Rui is still on the team. You still got Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka. You still got LeBron. But by far the biggest thing you were struggling with was you do not have any size and you can't compete in the NBA playoffs. Let's just say that portion of the Lakers roster was addressed. How far are the Lakers from the Oklahoma City Thunder? I want you to take a second here, because I don't want to downplay the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder just won an NBA championship. They won 68 games, so there's really nothing to downplay. They're champs. And whether they win another championship again or not, which I think most people would think that, yeah, they're very well positioned over the next 5 years, 7 years. They're going to be in the mix for years to come. I was looking at something this morning, and it said, I forgot which site it was, maybe Draft Express or something. It was on X. And it was Thunder looking to get in the top 10 of the draft. I'm like, of course they are. They got 4 first rounders this year. I thought the Thunder were beatable. And I thought Oklahoma City had some areas where it's like, yeah, they're really, really good. But they're not this juggernaut where you just look at them and say, nobody's got a shot at them. Denver took them 7. Indiana took them 7. And frankly, if Tyrese Haliburton was healthy, I think it's a flip of a coin. I don't know who wins game 7. But the Oklahoma City Thunder won an NBA championship. The question that I want to ask everybody here, if Lakers are able to address their center needs and their size needs and that interior defense and that rebounding, one or two guys kind of addresses that, still get to keep kind of the core of that team. How far are the Lakers from the Oklahoma City Thunder? Do you think it's this seismic difference between the two organizations? Or do you think, hey, if that's the team that we're chasing, okay, they're in the ballpark. There is a shot for them to compete if they're able to address some of their needs this summer. Everyone's chasing the Thunder. And I'll tell you something that Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder, this is what the Thunder are not going to do. They're just too good of a front office to sit back and say, hey, we got ours. We got our chip. We're good. No, they'll take their 68 wins. They'll take the roster that they have. They'll take the creativity that they've been so creative. They'll still draft very well. They'll still develop their players. They'll still put themselves in a position that by the time next season comes, they will, of course, be the favorites to go win an NBA championship again. My question is, the team that most people who are on this chat or most people that are on this channel typically root for, which is the Lakers, how far are they from the Oklahoma City Thunder? I can go back to the regular season and I could say, hey, but you remember those 2 regular season games that the Lakers had? They won one of them. They were positioned in the second game for that game to go down. They played them in back-to-back games. I don't think they played. I think they played like on a Sunday and a Tuesday. It was something like that. Blew them out on the Sunday. And then on Tuesday, we're right there. It's a 1-point game. I think the Lakers even had a 1-point lead. Luka gets thrown out of the game, and OKC just takes over from there. Does it sound crazy for me to say this? I don't think they're that far from the Thunder. Now, I think in a 7-game set, yes, OKC wins. I think, would OKC be the favorite? Of course they'd be the favorite. No question about it. Do Lakers need a lot of things to go their way? Yes, the Lakers need a lot of things to go their way. Do the Lakers need as good of an offseason from a very strategic perspective that every move they make is incredibly calculated? Yes. But does it feel like the Thunder and the Lakers are light years away? And by the way, a lot of people may disagree with me on this. A lot of people might say, yes, Al, it does feel like they are absolutely 100% light years away. And I want you guys to tell me, and I want you guys to, obviously give me your opinion and your thoughts and everything else. But from my perspective, I think there are a lot of teams that look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, including the Lakers, and say, listen, we're not that far away. I mean, this isn't when the Golden State Warriors were doing what they were doing, most teams out there were like, yeah, we're not even going to try to compete right now. Let's just wait a couple of years and let's be sellers in the market and try to take advantage of that and then figure it out here in a couple of years. And hopefully Kevin Durant goes somewhere else. And then Kevin Durant went somewhere else. And then all of a sudden the league was wide open again. To me, it doesn't feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder are one of those teams where it's like, hey, I don't think they got a shot by any stretch of the imagination. Now, Lakers are certainly going to have their challenges. We're going to do that here in just a second. I'm going to start reading some of your comments before I do a quick shout out here. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace team. I've talked about the Wallace firm now really since, I want to call it February or so. That's when our partnership started. But my relationship with Brad Wallace, that's been going on for years. About 5 years I've known him. I'll make it very simple for everybody. If you, a family member, a friend, somebody you know has been in a serious injury, a wrongful death case, you're looking for an injury attorney, you're in the state of California, you don't know where to start, it's intimidating, it's a daunting process, let me at least get the ball rolling for you. We created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go on there, get a free consultation. You fill out this form. Somebody's going to reach out to you from the Wallace firm. You could connect directly with Brad Wallace. Let them at least just kind of point you in the right direction, I guess is the best way that I can put it. I know there's a lot of people that are screaming for attention in the category. That's not the way Brad Wallace does business. He just does it by getting results. And he's been in this industry for a long time, 10 years with his practice. I love that, he identified this channel and this relationship and said, Al, I want to talk to your audience. I like what you're doing over there. He's a big Laker fan as well. He gave a great example of what was this now, maybe about a month and a half ago, where he was going up against Home Depot for his client. They had a $4.6 million verdict on behalf of the Wallace firm's client. Home Depot was responsible for $3 million of that amount. Those are just examples, but you could go to the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. And I know for a fact he will be able to point you in the right direction. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here as we go. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, I got some supers, but I'll get to in just a second because most of those are trade related. But I want to go back a little bit to the conversation about how far the Oklahoma City Thunder are from the Lakers. Warriors team, the Warriors, it's there's nothing you can do with the Warriors. I mean, that team, if KD and Klay Thompson, by the way, if Klay Thompson just stays healthy in that series, they got a good shot of winning that championship, let alone the KD piece of it. Jason, we are close. Wolves were just a bad matchup. Not only a bad matchup, you really, truly didn't have. I like going back to this. I got to get him back on the show. But I remember about a month, 2 months before the playoffs even started, there weren't too many conversations out there of people saying, hey, Lakers just don't have enough size, because we were watching the Lakers win all these regular season games. Amin El-Hassan was our guest that we had on. Amin's like, pump the brakes, brother. You don't have size. You don't have rebounding, and you have an inexperienced coach. When you get to the playoffs, that's going to be a problem. And literally 2 months later, it was a problem. I was texting Amin. I'm like, Amin, you predicted this a couple months ago. He's like, yeah, what are you going to do? Okay, so I don't know how much it was the Minnesota matchup. I think it had more to do with what I just said. You're right. It was Jaden McDaniels, the ones that was saying like, hey, I'll just go to the basket, and I'm the biggest one on the floor. Let's see what we got here. A lot of people want to talk Bam Adebayo. We're going to do that in just a second. They're also not going to let Presti leave, even though somehow people thought they'd be an option for the Lakers, even though Pelinka has done very well and just got extended. Yeah, that has more to do with the new ownership. I think things are going to stay the same for a couple of years, but I think we're eventually going to get to a point predicated on what this team looks like and predicated how far this team has got. I could tell you with a lot of confidence, if the Lakers in the next 2 years have 2 first-round exits, if you think new ownership's going to be like, well, you know what? We're just a big fan of Pelinka, and we know his relationship with the Buss family and this and that. I don't think that's how it's going to be. I think this ownership kind of will put everyone on notice, the new ownership, that business will always come before personal. I mean, listen, go look at the way they run the Dodgers. It's, and I'm not telling you that you don't have personal relationships and all that stuff, but the way they run the Dodgers, it's kind of like, yeah, we got a sheet of paper here, and either you're delivering or you're not delivering. And if you're not delivering, we're probably going to move on somewhere else. That's just kind of the reality of it. And that's, and frankly, that's how businesses run. I think the best businesses have a little bit of balance of both. I don't know if I really see that in the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers, it seems like to me, it's all business, which I think the Lakers can use a little bit of. If there's a criticism of how the Buss family has run things, my criticism would be you've allowed too many personal relationships to be mixed into the business, and anyway, so to go back to that comment, I do think there is a little bit of, based on the results, we'll see what happens in the future. OKC is a good team, not an all-time great. Even with the 68 wins, defense carried them. They were phenomenal on defense. And by the way, I think they're going to be more dangerous next year than they were this year because they got a chip. You know how much easier it is to win after you've already won? And now you don't have to worry about that. Now you could just go play ball. And worst case scenario, if you lose, everybody's still like, yeah, but I mean, they just won a championship last year. So I do think there's some advantages from that perspective. Okay. Denver was the same, 1 year wonders. Kind of wild. I mean, kind of interesting that the NBA, I don't know what the real solution is going to be for the NBA, to be honest with you. I don't know if for the NBA, I don't know if they want these 7 champions in 7 different years. Part of me thinks, hey, it's okay to see that. The other part of me is like, so nothing could really marinate, but we'll see. Everybody always eventually comes up with a solution, and we'll see what that solution is. All right. So did you guys see this? Let me share this with you guys so we can all look at this together. Let me see if I actually have this. Let me try to find this real quick here as we're on. Yesterday, I wouldn't pay crazy attention to this. I really wouldn't, but I think for the sake of doing the show, and I think it's a fun conversation, we can do it here. But again, I wouldn't, this isn't the Bible. What's written is this is it. This is what's going to happen. Bovada put something out there, and Bovada is a betting site. So as you guys know that, let me see if I could share this with you guys here. All right. Can everybody see this? I think you can. All right. Everything's in here. The Lakers are favorites to land Bam Adebayo in a potential trade per Bovada. All right. I'm going to keep this up here. Let me just keep this up here, and we could kind of talk about this as we're sitting here, and we could go from there. So let me first off just say this, and this is the odds that they have. Lakers plus 190, Grizzlies plus 260, Spurs, Kings, Mavericks, Bulls, and the Celtics. Yesterday when I was on with Eric Pincus, we were talking a little bit of like, all right, what's the value of Austin Reaves? Because if you told me you're trading Austin Reaves and you're getting Nick Claxton back, I would tell you, guys, you're not getting enough back. You need more for Austin Reaves. That's not the dude that you're trading Austin Reaves for. If you told me that you're getting Bam Adebayo back, I'd probably tell you, not probably, I would tell you, you got too much. Why are the Miami Heat going to trade Bam Adebayo? I see what Bovada is saying here, and I understand that from betting purposes, they're putting the Lakers as the best odds to get Bam Adebayo. Does somebody want to explain to me why Miami would trade Bam Adebayo? Bam Adebayo is one of the most productive bigs in the NBA. He enjoys playing defense. He's an absolute grinder. He's got to the NBA Finals twice. I know that was with Jimmy Butler and everything else. He's a stud. He's homegrown in Miami, as in they're the ones that cropped him. I don't see the Miami Heat trading Bam Adebayo. And frankly, somebody want to tell me what kind of package would make sense for Miami? Let me make one up here, because I did see some different sites kind of try to figure out. He's got a $57 million salary. How do you get him? If Miami said, hey, we're open for business, let's trade Bam Adebayo. Give up Austin Reaves, give up Rui Hachimura, give up Maxi Kleber, and give up a 2031 unprotected first-round pick. And I think they also had a pick swap in there. Okay, now you can do it. The money makes sense to do it. You can match it. Why would Miami want Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, and a 2031 unprotected first-round pick? For what? I mean, what's the point of them making a deal? Is Austin Reaves that important of a player for them? Who, by the way, is on an expiring contract. Okay, maybe he signs long-term there. Rui's on expiring. Maxi's on. I mean, are they just trying to rebuild? Is that kind of the idea and the concept? And maybe they are. I have no idea. But I don't understand how the Lakers would get Bam Adebayo. So when I saw that yesterday, the only reason why I wanted to put that up here was just to kind of talk it through with everybody. The Bam Adebayo conversation is a fun conversation. It's an exciting conversation. I think if the Lakers had Bam Adebayo, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic, and then you Dorian Finney-Smith, and kind of figure out all the other pieces that you have, I think that's a very, very dangerous team in the Western Conference. But why would Miami do it? Why would Miami do it? Miami would wouldn't they go shop all these other players? What wouldn't Miami go out there and say, okay, hey, Bam Adebayo is available, and let teams go make a real move to go try to get Bam Adebayo, teams with draft capital. I'm going to give you guys an example, and maybe it's not the best example. San Antonio really didn't go after KD because they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of picks. They got, they just decided, all right, timetable wise, Durant coming over here. I don't think we're ready yet. But if Giannis was available, I think San Antonio would probably go all in. If Bam Adebayo was available, I think they would look at their assets that they have and try to make a move. So this kind of goes back to that conversation. A lot of people want to see Austin Reaves go. Cool. That's fine. You want to see Austin Reaves go? I get it. I understand it. And I know why you want to see him leave. The question that I would have for everybody is, what caliber of player are you getting back? Because Nick Claxton ain't enough and Bam Adebayo is too much. What's in the middle? What's the proper value for Austin Reaves? That's a question that you got to ask yourself, and I don't think it's going to be Bam Adebayo. I had some comments yesterday after I thought it was really interesting because having the conversation with Eric Pincus, I love what Pincus said. Pincus said, hey, in the past, and he wasn't trying to, make a case to everybody that, hey, Austin Reaves is available. But he said in the past, if you brought Austin Reaves up, most front office people or scouts would be like, yeah, he's not available. And he said that now he's not really hearing as much of that. So let's just put it this way. I think if the Lakers saw something that they thought was beneficial, I do think Austin Reaves would be on the market. The question is going to be is if anything like that would become available. And I saw some comments, people were putting on yesterday's chat. I'll read one of them as an example. By the way, this person put it in all caps. I can still read. We don't have to have all caps here. People have to stop the Austin Reaves conversation. The man is bad at defense. Reaves is inconsistent on offense. He disappeared in the playoffs. Just stop and trade that man. He's a liability. So let me just take that comment here real quick. Is that your billboard of trading Austin Reaves? When you're going to go make a move with somebody else out there, and if this is the perception that Reaves has now, then maybe you do hold on to him and you try to make a stronger case for him later on, and maybe he's got, more value as the season goes. But imagine trading Austin Reaves and taking this one comment. Hey, tell me a little bit about Austin Reaves. We're interested in trading him. Well, he's inconsistent on offense. He's terrible at defense. He disappeared in the playoffs. You interested? I also think there's a little bit for those that are down on Austin Reaves. If his stock is down a little bit, that is now the time to be trading Austin Reaves. I don't know how crazy I am about that. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Now I could start looking at some of these supers because everybody was trying to make trades. I genuinely believe AR Luka can work with the right players around them, Kyrie and Luka. Yeah, that hasn't been talked enough about. How bad was Austin Reaves and Luka because they don't have the proper pieces behind them? I think that has a lot to do with it. I definitely think that doesn't stop me from saying, hey, still go shop Austin Reaves. But my point is, on any team that you have, if you don't have the proper players around you, it's going to be tough to win. And the Lakers had an Olay defense, no size, and it exposed Austin Reaves even more, and it exposed Luka even more. Let me give you guys an example. If Anthony Davis, let me make a trade here real quick. This is not happening. Of course it's not. Let me just make a trade. Let's say LeBron was off the Lakers and Anthony Davis was on the Lakers. So it's AD, Austin Reaves, and Luka Doncic. Do you think Luka and Austin Reaves would look as bad on defense with Anthony Davis behind them? Of course they wouldn't. They would look like manageable defensive players because Anthony Davis is behind them and Anthony Davis can clean up any mess that's left from your backcourt, right? If you guys want to go back to, let me give you guys some examples back in the day. Remember when Shaq was just so dominating? Remember how great Shaq was? Do you know how the Lakers used to play defense? Their defense was funnel everything to Shaq. And once it gets to Shaq, he'll clean it up. And that made all these other players look better because Shaq was behind them. You're not getting Anthony Davis and you're not getting Shaq. But what you can't have there is Rui is your last defender, or Dorian Finney-Smith, or Jared Vanderbilt, or JJ Redick, who obviously was very stubborn in the playoffs, wasn't even using the size that he had in Jackson Hayes. So I don't know if AR and Luka can work. I do know this. AR, Luka, and no big, that can't work. And that's why the question is going to be for the Lakers, can you address the needs that you have in the offseason without trading Austin Reaves to see what it would look like if they're all playing together? And if everyone is just saying how bad Austin Reaves is, and that's the taste you have in your mouth from the playoffs, well, didn't he also lose some value then? Do you really want to lose, or do you really want to trade him when you're trading him at the low end? Now, there could easily be other teams that understand the point that I'm making or have a lot of faith in Austin Reaves that are willing to make a deal for him, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, let's get a couple more in these here. Charbel, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you very much. Or Charbel, thank you for the super. Either way. David, Rui, DK, 30-31, 26 pick swap for Herb Jones and Misi. In a heartbeat, I would do that. Yeah, in a heartbeat. The problem is, why would they do that? Listen, I know we could look at things from just a Laker perspective or from our perspective, but I think the better thing to look at is, does the other team want what you're trying to trade them? Herb Jones is a great player. Misi, I would take in a heartbeat. But tell me why that makes sense for – why does that make sense for the Pelicans? You know what I mean? So thank you for the super, David. David, I hope that deal happens. I hope that deal happens. All right, let's take a look. A couple more here. Everyone has to rebuild at some point. And like I said, Pat Riley is currently senile, so they're about to have someone new running the Heat. I agree with that. I don't disagree that Miami will probably eventually have to, make a trade or make a move. The problem is going to be if Bam Adebayo is available and in the market, guys, that guy's got value. I mean, if I'm a GM or an executive in the NBA and you told me Bam Adebayo is available, that dude seems like a great locker room guy. That guy looks like he'll play through injuries. That guy's a winner. I mean, however you look at it, I'm a big fan of Bam Adebayo. From afar watching Bam Adebayo, I'm a fan of him. Keith, as a Knick fan, we have Cat. He will never become a good defender. He won't work with Brunson, which means we have to trade him. Keith, I appreciate you tuning in. And I encourage people, and I don't care if you're a Laker fan, a Knicks fan, a Warrior fan, it doesn't matter. If you can, if you want to chime in on our conversations, certainly you're more than welcome to. So thank you for chiming in on that. How do the Knicks still not have a coach? What a disaster. A disaster. This is actually going to lead me into my next conversation. It's kind of crazy for next year. You got Tyrese Haliburton will be out for all next year. Dame probably out for all next year. And you got Jason Tatum out for all of next year. So I would say 3 of the top 4 teams, or let's say 3 of the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference, don't have either their best player or one of their best players for all of next season. You want to talk about the Eastern Conference being wide open. And then the other team, the New York Knicks, that's got an incredible amount of talent, fired their coach and had no game plan for after firing their coach. I said this. I didn't mind them. If they thought Thibodeau wasn't going to be the right guy, fine. But they had no plan for after they fired their head coach. This is going to be a kind of a good transition for me. I still got a few more topics that I want to get into. So let me transition to this here real quick as we're pulling up here on 50 minutes. Before I do so, I want to give a quick shout out to another one of our partners, Lexus Santa Monica. I'll try to simplify this for everybody. If you're in the market for a car, I don't care what kind of car you're in the market for. I don't care what you currently have. Maybe you're in the middle of a lease and you're like, why the hell did I sign this lease? Maybe you've been driving a car for a long time and you're saying to yourself, man, I'm ready for a new car. Or I'm ready to get into something different. Matt Unger over at Lexus Santa Monica. Matt Unger over at Lexus Santa Monica, general manager, a part owner of the dealership there. This is the reason why I'm saying it doesn't matter what kind of position you are in a car. He knows everybody in the business, and whatever model that you're looking for, he'll help you get it. If you're in a lease right now and you want to get out of it, he'll help you get out of it. If you want to buy a car, he'll help you buy a car. If you want to lease a car, he'll help you lease a car. If you want to go across the street to their pre-owned lot at Lexus Santa Monica, these are cars that at one point, these are pre-owned. So basically you're buying something that's 2-3 years old, something along those lines. He'll help you get a used car as well. Let him be the person that helps you navigate the car industry. Known the guy for a long time, probably 10 years I've known Matt Unger. I drive a Lexus from Lexus Santa Monica. That's why we have the partnership. And every partnership that I try to get into, I want it to be as organic as possible, and it certainly is in this case. Here's why I recommend Lexus. It's very simple. Not only do you get the luxury, but you get the dependability, you get the reliability. I'm closing in on 180,000 miles on my Lexus. I've had my Lexus for about 8 years now, and I bought it pre-owned. That's how I buy my cars. I buy them I want them to last forever because I'm not somebody that needs a new car every couple of years. And frankly, that's my game plan. I try to be smart with my money, and I think this is a smart investment. If you're in the market for a car, LexusSantaMonica.com, ask for Matt Unger. What I'll start doing here too is I'm going to put Matt Unger's email address on here so you can reach out directly for him if you have any questions or if you're in the market for a car. You can always reach out to me as well, and I'll make a personal introduction. They are promoting the 2025 all-electric Lexus RZ as well. LexusSantaMonica.com. Shout out to Matt Unger for the partnership, and I really, really appreciate all our partners that we have on the show, and certainly our newest partner. Okay, let's keep going here. Tyrese Haliburton. I saw something yesterday, and I'm going to go off topic for a quick second, but I want to go to Tyrese because I think it's important to do so. A couple things happened during the finals that really bothered me. I think it's been pretty widely talked about, some of the coverage in the NBA finals. Let's just say I thought ESPN was average at best in their NBA finals coverage. But I'll tie this back here real quick. Remember when Tyrese Haliburton, he had the bad game 5. And I'm not telling you he didn't have game 5. He did. I just thought there wasn't enough maybe sympathy towards, hey, the dude's probably not healthy. And then you hear everybody talking, oh, you got to get off the floor, this and that. And, how are you not showing up in a game 5? Tyrese Haliburton did something, in my opinion, which is one of the ultimate sacrifices you could make in sports. Tyrese Haliburton decided in game 6 and game 7, I could potentially tear my Achilles and not play all of next year. And I could have played it safe and said, you know what, this calf strain, I need a couple of weeks. And most people, I heard some kind of stat, I think it was Windhorst that said this, that 23 players had a calf strain during the 2024-2025 season. And 22 of the 23 players took time off to give their calf strain some time to recover. Only one player didn't do that. You know who that was? It was Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton decided, I don't care what this means to me, my future, my immediate future, and maybe my long-term future. I got a shot at winning an NBA championship. And if that means taking the risk of tearing my Achilles, then go ahead and stretch me out, put my jersey on. I'm going out on the floor. I'm going to do everything I can to go win an NBA championship for the Indiana Pacers. Is that not the ultimate sacrifice for your team and your city? I don't know how you guys felt walking into the playoffs. I had zero emotion towards the Indiana Pacers. And frankly, I thought Tyrese Haliburton was a nice player, but I'm not watching him every night. I walked away from the playoffs, and the way I'm sitting here today, I got a much different respect for Rick Carlisle, much different respect for a lot of those players on the Indiana Pacers, and I have the ultimate respect for Tyrese Haliburton. Here's what Haliburton said. He said, I do it again and again after that to fight for this city and my brothers, for the chance to do something special. He had a long, long message on X, and I think also on Instagram, where he was just talking about how tough it is. He had some quotes in there that he related to Kobe. Kobe, after he tore his Achilles, basically like, don't feel sorry for me. This was one of the cooler playoff runs I've ever seen from an individual playoff. Tyrese Haliburton with some of his game winners, some of the comebacks from the Indiana Pacers, how clutch Tyrese Haliburton was in the playoffs. The fact that he was voted the most overrated player by other NBA players, and this man went out there and did what he did. Man, I got so much respect for Tyrese Haliburton. And when it was officially announced, I finished my show yesterday, and I wasn't going to say, injury-wise, because listen, you never know. And what the hell am I going to come out here for and say, well, that's a torn Achilles? How the hell do I know? Even though most people were saying that's a torn Achilles. Eventually, when the show ended, it officially came out that Tyrese Haliburton had a torn Achilles, and he's probably missing all of next season. And then when you saw his social posts come out as well, man, what a solid leader and the type of player that you want on your team. And I just got a massive amount of respect. And a lot of people that were running their mouth about him, whether they were saying, oh, he should be playing, or why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that? Whatever people were saying, we all jumped to an assumption here. This dude decided, cool, if I got to risk tearing my Achilles for a chance for game 6 and game 7, next question, because I already know my answer, I'm going to be out there. He was out there for his squad. He was out there for his team. And, we'll never know what would have happened if Tyrese was healthy for game 7. Honestly, I think they would have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. It doesn't matter what I think. And he wasn't healthy. And he did tear his Achilles. And Oklahoma City won an NBA championship. So there's, the what ifs mean nothing. But I genuinely believe that. I believe they would have beat the Thunder in game 7. And I do walk away with a completely different respect for Tyrese Haliburton. And I hope a lot of people do, because, so much of the time there's conversations in the NBA about, oh, there's load management. And these guys, do they really care? They're only playing for their contract, blah, 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 blah. By the way, I'm guys who are playing for their contract and treat it like a business, I understand it. Owners are treating you like a business anyways as well. But for Tyrese Haliburton, that dude sacrificed. He tried making it happen for his team. And what did he get in return? He got a torn Achilles and he's out for a year. And he said, I'll do it again. And I do it again. And I just got mad respect for him. So I just wanted to throw that piece out there, because that was one of the cooler stories that, I've seen. And seeing his post yesterday, I was like, this dude is the real deal. That guy's the man. All right, let's read a couple of these here. Let me read a couple of these here. And then I got one thing on Caruso. I got one thing on Luka, and then we'll call it a day. I respect Tyrese, but that was an idiot move. Heart isn't poised to make your brain decisions. I couldn't disagree more. What if, hypothetically, let me play something out for you here. He's not guaranteed to tear his Achilles by going out and playing game 6 and 7. How do you think this man, especially Tyrese, you can tell, his demeanor and chance to win an NBA championship? You think Tyrese would have been more comfortable saying, well, I saved my Achilles, but I'll never know if I was going to tear it, and I never know if we'd have won game 6 and game 7. He'd have to live with that for the rest of his life. And I love the fact that he's coming out. He's like, I do it again. Okay, yeah, but you already know what was going to happen. I do it again. I'm completely okay with that. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that this man would have done anything for the game. And from my perspective, you think Kobe Bryant, Kobe is the perfect example. You think Kobe, if somebody said, hey, you could tear your Achilles, you think Kobe would have said, cool, nope, I'm out game 6 and 7 of the NBA Finals. Let me get the hell out of the way. Kobe, out of all people, you think he would have done that? Not happening. And there's probably a reason why he pointed out Kobe in that predicament, is because he's probably kind of looking at that story by himself. Let's see. I just love basketball. I don't care about the big names. If they was good, they would be in the finals in the first place. All right, let's see what else we got here. Good finals if you love basketball. Let's see what else. I'm not watching Indiana or Oklahoma. Didn't even watch one game. It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. And if that's kind of, you're ready for the offseason, go ahead and do so. I enjoyed it. I mean, listen, were there some games that weren't that exciting? Sure. Of course there were. There were some games that was like, yeah, it was okay. It was nothing special at all. But for the most part, I thought the finals were definitely enjoyable. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. SJ gives me Kobe vibes when he talks, well-spoken, articulate. SGA is going to be a problem for years. Okay, Alex Caruso. Caruso, did you have to do this? Did you have to do this, Caruso? Caruso, after he won the championship. Yeah, now I got a real one. Now no one can say anything. He ended up sending out a tweet. I had 3 beers already. It's sarcasm. 2-time, as in 2-time champion. You know, it's funny when I saw this. So here's what Alex Caruso is talking about. He's talking about how he finally got an NBA championship in a regular environment. 82-game season, full playoffs, home games, road games, crowd in the arena. And when he said, now I got a real one, in my head, I'm like, damn, did he just demolish the Lakers 2020 championship? Do most people around his circle think that, or maybe most people in the NBA circle think like, yeah, that 2020 championship. Yeah, I mean, guys, that one shouldn't have counted. I don't think that, but I'm playing off what Alex Caruso said. And then the last thing from Caruso, does he not believe that was a real one? Caruso wins an NBA championship for the Oklahoma City Thunder. One of his quotes, yeah, now I got a real one. Now no one can say anything. Right when I saw that, I'm like, no, don't do it, Alex. Caruso, don't do it. Please don't downplay the 2020 chip. And then he makes an excuse. I had 3 beers already. It's sarcasm 2-time. The only thing I really took away from that is if he believes 2020 was not a legit championship, or if a lot of people around him believe, and maybe NBA players believe, yeah, come on, guys, that wasn't what it was. You know, the one reason why I'll always go back to this when we talk 2020 championship, reason why I'll always go back to what I've said in the past. The reason why it was legit to me is the Lakers had as good of a team as anybody. I'll take that roster. That I really truly believe people don't realize how good that roster was, and that whether that championship was in the bubble in Orlando or it was played normal or COVID wasn't there, Lakers would have had a shot of winning an NBA championship. I think one of 2-3 teams, something along those lines. They would have definitely had a shot at winning an NBA championship. I don't need to get into, all the different players that were playing for the Lakers, but we all kind of understand just how good that Lakers roster was that year. And if I look at it, I just want to see here if I could list them all down. I don't think I'll be able to. All right, just tell me if this is a championship roster or not. KCP, Alex Caruso, Anthony Davis, Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, JaVale McGee, Markieff Morris, Rajon Rondo, J.R. Smith, Danny Green. If you want to put Dudley in there because he's a vet, you want to put Deion Waters in there, and just, obviously naming off names here. THT, Taylor Horn-Tucker was on that team. They had a squad. But when I heard Alex Caruso take a shot at the Lakers, I'm not even at the shot at the Lakers, but the shot at that championship, I'm like, damn, maybe I am wrong here. Maybe a lot of people didn't think that was a true championship, but that freaking roster was stacked. That's LeBron 5 years ago. That's AD 5 years ago. That roster was so incredibly stacked. I hope they weren't downplaying it, but I got to be honest with you. I thought Caruso downplayed that championship. So whatever that means, you go from there. Nobody said the Spurs 55-game championship wasn't real. I think actually people did say that. That was 99-2000 after the strike. I think people did, kind of question that championship. We won that championship because Dwight Howard was a beast. Yes, most definitely a championship roster. Bron and AD were top 5 in 2020, surrounded by athletic two-way players and size and vets and guys that knew their roles and shooters. I mean, you can't put together as good of a roster as that. That's as good as it gets. Yes, are there better championship rosters? Sure, but that's as good as it gets. Okay, final thing I'm going to get into today, and thank you all for hanging out. Please do me a favor and please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate that. It would mean a lot for me. It would mean a lot to me if you guys can do that. Okay, last thing I'm going to get into. I saw this morning. I don't know why this bothers me, but it bothers me a little bit. All right, I'm going to share this with you guys here. And you guys can tell me if you agree with this or if you disagree with me, but let me show it to you guys here real quick. So I'm reading this a little bit earlier. Dan Wyke, who was with the LA Times, now with the Athletic. Our buddy Jovan Buha was with the Athletic, now 100% independent. He's going to do a phenomenal job. He's really, really good at what he does. So Dan Wyke in the Athletic put this out there. Doncic has been incredibly committed to his conditioning this offseason. He's dropped significant weight and is working on a strict diet and cardio training, according to a source with knowledge of the plan. In a shift from his normal offseason, he spent a month away from on-court work to focus more on his body. Doncic has looked visibly slimmer in photos and is now back working out with Slovenia, readying for Eurobasket competition later this summer. Okay. So Luka, the message here is, hey guys, Luka's in shape. Okay. I look at this in two ways, and you guys can tell me how you guys look at this. Part of me looks at this and says, okay, awesome. Luka's in shape. Cool. Luka's working on his body. Awesome. Luka's going to be ready for next season. Great. Luka's going to be working with his team in the Euro, in the Euro competition that he's going to have. Phenomenal. The other part of me looks at this and it's like, why are we praising Luka for being in shape? Why? Luka, you need to be in shape. That's part of your job. That's like, this is the terrible example because I don't have an example of me comparing me to Luka. That's like praising me for being prepared for my show. Yeah, that's my job. I'm supposed to be prepared for my show. Hey, Al, that was awesome, man. You actually had a couple of topics today, and you didn't sound like an idiot. Don't praise me for that. It's my job. I think if you want to make the case for Luka and say, hey, listen, Luka was dealing with an injury, gets traded from Dallas, ends up coming to the Lakers, still not 100% healthy, and really couldn't get into the proper shape that he needs to get into. Okay, maybe you can make that case. That's fine. That's fine. Trying to get in shape during the season, however you want to look at it. But all these stories that come out about Luka, and listen, hey, he dropped 10 pounds. He dropped 15 pounds, or he looks like he's in better shape. Hey, he's really taking the offseason seriously. Guys, Luka's a multi-millionaire. Luka's in the NBA because he's one of the best basketball players in the world. And all those people that used to say, hey, well, if Luka's overweight and he could still drop 30 and 10 or whatever the case is in the NBA, then, I wish I was overweight and I could drop 30 and 10. That's not the point. The point is how can you be the best version of yourself? And if Luka needs to drop weight to be the best version of himself, I don't know if we should be praising him for that. That's his job. That's what Luka's supposed to be doing. You know what I really don't want to do this upcoming season? You know what I really don't want to do when I'm talking Lakers basketball, I'm having conversations with you guys. The last thing I want to do is sit here on a night in, night out basis or in the morning and sit here telling you that, oh my gosh, Luka needs to drop weight. Oh, well, Luka's not in shape. This is literally his job. This is his job. You being in shape should not be something that I'm praising. You being in shape should not be a conversation. Can you imagine if LeBron freaking James, we were giving LeBron for being in shape? LeBron's 40, about to be 41 years old. And the last thing anybody ever says about LeBron James Is the guy in shape or is he not? So I just go look at the top players in the NBA. The top players. Tell me the top 5, 7 players. Actually, I got one. This is going to hurt my argument a little bit. Does anybody ever say, is Giannis in shape? Of course not. Is anybody worried about Shea being in shape? Of course not. Does anybody worry about LeBron being in shape or Anthony Davis or go down the list? Now there's a couple. All right, Nikola Jokic. Dude doesn't look like he's in shape, but he's also not a point guard bringing the ball up the floor and orchestrating the entire offense. I mean, technically he is because he has 10 dimes a game. Joel Embiid has had some issues with weight. So these are, I guess you could say that there are players out there that have certainly had this, situation in the past. But for me personally, I have a very, very difficult time giving somebody praise for being in shape that's in the NBA. James Harden, Joel Embiid, all these guys, that's your job. And if you're not in shape, then I don't know what the hell to tell you. All right, let's see if we got anything else here. Let's see what. It's more about being excited for new possibilities than just praising him for getting in shape. Fair. That's fair. But it's still his job. And if that cracks something else into what Luka can be, that's on Luka. Listen, Luka's been one of the best players in the world for 7 years. He really has. Since he came into the NBA, he's been like, what the hell? This guy is unbelievable. Already got to the Western Conference Finals, already made it to the NBA Finals. I do love that as a Laker, obviously, he's going to take things in a little bit different of a light. That maybe part of the reason why the Dallas Mavericks got rid of him is maybe they thought to themselves, this guy doesn't take his job serious. Well, that's now up to him to go ahead and make that happen. I'm going to read a couple comments here. We're going to call it a day. Ryan Scott says on here, AR for Herb. Man, I like Herb Jones. I do. DK Pels first and LA first for Kessler. You're not getting – you're saying – so get Herb Jones for AR. I think you're asking for a first rounder also from the Pelicans. And then you use your first, the Pels first, and Dalton Connect for Walker Kessler. I think 2 first rounders, you might be able to get Kessler, depending on where they are. That's interesting. I've definitely seen, trades that are much worse than that. That's interesting. Thank you for the super. By the way, if you sent a super today, I greatly appreciate it. If you didn't, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't look into the camera. Nothing but love to everybody. Nothing but love. Eric, did he ask for praise? No, he didn't. He did not. But the articles that are coming out, I think are no, you know what? I don't even blame the articles, and I don't blame Luka for getting in shape. I'm just saying a lot of people are going to say, oh, my God, Luka lost 10, 15. He's in shape. That's your job. I can't give you praise for, the person I love his opinion on is Michael Thompson, because Michael would probably lose it if it comes to talking about people's weight and everything else. You guys remember, I had Michael on almost right after Luka got traded, and Michael's like, straight up, he's fat. That's what Michael said. So, Slee's mad at us. Not at all. All love. All love. All love. Okay. My people, thank you. First off, I appreciate this. Thank you for all the compliments, everything else. I got love for a lot of the other bloggers as well. Okay. Back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Still working on, I might have Trev on tomorrow. He doesn't know that, but I might be reaching out to him. I was thinking about this yesterday, so I'll be working on that. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everybody subscribing, hanging out. Thank you for the super. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Thank you to the Wallace firm as well. Thank you to everybody being on the show. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will get back to you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Draft tomorrow as well, so that should be fun as well. Thanks, everybody.